Hey game devs, let's talk about these pedestals and these stairs and making them a little bit more interesting and a little bit more, um, well, difficult for you but to make, but also just really just about finding some new techniques and stuff. So if I wasn't going to take this into ZBrush, which we probably still will, it doesn't mean you can't do what I'm going to do. So don't think that it's the only way to do stuff. I do want you to understand there's a way to think of it. All those damage things that we have. Let's start with the pedestal here. What we are going to want to look at is after we make one of these side, we may come over here and, not do the same thing. But some of the common things we want to do is soften some of these edges up. So I'm going to go to 2. I'm going to go to, I'm sorry, I guess it wasn't 2. Go to, keep doing the same thing. Go to 2. I'm going to grab some of these edges to give them bevels to soften them up. I don't want to do it here because I'll lose some of the detail. Now I will need to do something about it when I get it, if I'm going to bring it into Z, or if I'm going to do something about the resolution. This one you can't just round click because it's not a quad, or it's not a loop. This one, yeah, maybe I'm not going to look to drastically do too much. I'm only going to the outer ones too, the ones that pop out, not the ones that go in at this point. And probably this one. Yeah, okay. So now all I have to do is chamfer and pull that back and see what we get. That's not too bad. Just want to make sure I don't have any overlapping edges. So if we pull back on this, you'll see that's where they started and that's where they ended. Now if we go back up to 3, we may get something a little bit more soft. Okay, so that's what we're going to do there. And then I'm going to take these edges, I'm going to go Control R to go all the way around, and actually, my bad. Oh no, go ahead. Yeah, double click on it, Control R goes all the way around. You see all the edges are done that way. And then I'll chamfer again, and this time I may or may not do 3. Let's just do 2. Now remember, this little detail I'm putting in may conflict with me trying to get other detail in later. But if I'm bringing it into another program to get the detail on later, then this stuff actually helps. Okay, so I'm not going to do the same damage stuff on both of these pieces, so I need to well, basically, let's see, how would I do this? I can just dupe it if I want for now, but let's just do it right. So I'm going to take this, go to here, collapse to editable poly, come back in here, grab this guy over here, and detach. Call this pedestal 2, pedestal. I guess I spelled it wrong last time, but here we go. As an object. Okay, so we can hide that, hide unselected. Now, get back to the middle here, front. And some of the stuff we're going to do to the stairs will be the same thing, so I don't want to not have symmetry on when I get to that point. So for now, I'll just do this. Okay, let's come back and look at this. How do I make things, how am I going to give it cracks? How am I going to give it deterioration beyond texturing? Well, one of the things I did see on here that I wanted to, you can hear the fireworks going on, I wanted to play with is that there is a, let's use Swift Loop and go this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and scale this in a little bit. And then we're going to give it another chamfer just to give it a little curve so it feels a little nicer right there. Oops, I missed. Okay, so there's a few ways you can do this. You can take one of these edges, or one of these verts even, and grab a couple of them if you want, and extrude, and then pull it backwards and see what you get. Or, you know what, we can just do, grab these all, collapse them, extrude, and the negative, make it a little bit bigger, You can ding up your stuff that way. You know, there's two theories, two school of thoughts. You can ding it in the beginning, you can ding it at the end. It's up to you how you want to go about it. But, you know, if you want something more exciting than this, well, don't forget, just because... Did it work? Oh, goodness, that was weird. I can also move these pieces out and give them a little bit more excitement to it. So I can get, because I had those extra edges, I can get, and if I want, I can say to face. I can get it to be like that, and I can pull it up, maybe this one. Oops, not that one. This one. Well, I guess I don't want it on face. Pull it back a little bit, and do that. Up a little bit, and then pull it out like that. So now I got this detail that is cool to see, and if I come back out and I turn off that, you'll see now I've got a break in it. Now it may be too much, so again we can just take it all and do, let's say, one is smooth over here, one smooth over here is 2, of course, so we can do 1 and 2 on these pieces. Let's see if it just looks like it's dented or whatever, or we can, you know, we can play around with it. We can put another bevel on those edges so we don't like the way they're looking or whatever it is. We can put a crack up here. Now all we're doing is doing cuts, so we can take 2, divide this whole thing, or we can use this and just go straight up. And again, it's not going to work on areas that aren't quadded, so that's the biggest problem with using cap, is it doesn't make quads, it just closes the hole basically. So if I come back in here and I grab that edge and I shift and pull it forward and then shift and pull it forward, I can get that. Okay, so now I can come back in here and go 2 and cut if I wanted to. I could take it from the verts even and go cut here to there, you know, and then from there to something like that. And what would that do? Well, now all I have to do is take this edge, oops, this edge that I just cut there, and I may not cut it to that point. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of that weird. Sometimes when you're thinking about doing stuff, it you know, you don't have to think about, I mean, I cut in the middle of a plane. That's a weird way to do it. So I'm gonna take that one off and just go extrude again. This time I'm gonna extrude in 2. And the further this is out, the more of it is. So I can do negative and get some kind of weird extrusion. I can grab this edge too. Yeah. And I'm going to grab this one and this one. And cool thing is it'll keep what I was grabbed and do this one. Yeah. So I'm going to go back and do that extrusion again and see if I like the way that looks. Sure, why not? And I'm going to come in here and then I'm going to collapse this down. So I'll take this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge, and I will collapse and it'll give me that nice little sharp point. And I come up here and do the same thing. This one, this one, this one, this one, and collapse. Now I've got a nice crack on it. If we came in and we did a turbo smooth on top of that, it'd start to get a little weird, and these will be definitely weird. But some of the stuff's still working, and you know, we just need to bevel. I mean, if you want things like this to work, turbo smooth that is, then you need to do some beveling stuff. Like this edge can't do it by itself. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that on as we get further in. This is, for now, we're just going to build what we can. You guys are doing your first 3D stuff in this class, so you know, you can also take this and, like, say, move it out and make it so it's not perfect. And we could take, actually, let's see, we could take this and move it sideways just to give it a crack that's not exactly the way we want. You could even take, like, this one right here too and say, I want this to be an extrusion, but I want it really small and I want it really thin. Like that. Then you can, again, you can either do it by doing verts. select, and make sure you don't select anything else. Doesn't look like I did. Collapsing it. Now I've got a little bit of that, and I can pull this over and say target weld this to this. So I've got a chisel that comes off on. Now these are looking very rigid, but you know, that's the idea. So for now, what I'd like to see is you guys just to put some chops in it, figure out some good places to do it. Don't worry about the way it looks if it's not quads and stuff like that. I know we've talked pretty heavily about quads being important, but I want you guys to have the idea of how to get to points before you figure out how you're going to get to those points correctly, I guess the best way to put it. So anyway, that's it for now, and I'll start on the other stuff either later tonight or this morning.